national issues that affect the Bahamian people. Remember what I told you yesterday. I want to bring that to your attention now while I remember, and then we'll get right into the show. I said to you, Scripture says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. This is from the book of Proverbs. When the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Now, you've been mourning for 51 years. Every living day, you've been complaining. You've been saying this, you've been saying that. And since I came to the airwaves, I've been encouraging you to take constitutionally sound action. You haven't done much of that, Bahamians. But the Constitution is still there. The Constitution is the supreme authority of the land. You don't need anybody's permission to act constitutionally. If there are those in the government who don't do it, well then fine, there's something you can do about it. Article 24:1 of your Constitution gives you the authority in that very last phrase, and a lot of you don't even remember that. Right at the bottom of the article, they talk about all them other things, political parties and all of that. But it says we have the authority to organize to protect our interests. And the word interest is plural. And so what I said to you yesterday, listen, let us find some righteous people in each particular constituency. Because if you ain't righteous, ain't nothing happening. Might as well tell you that right off the top. 51% or more of the people in a given constituency, in a given community, in a given nation must become righteous in their dealings one with another. Then that community, that constituency, that nation is headed for progress. But we haven't been doing it in 51 years. So why haven't we been doing it? We got to listen to what God says. When the righteous are in authority. So the constituents must give the authority to righteous people. We can find some righteous people in every single constituency because God put them there for that express purpose. Now, I said we should be able to solve one major constituency problem over the next 18 months. You don't need no more than that. The community, the people of that particular constituency will have to decide which problem we're going to solve during that 18-month period. But you got to start working from yesterday because yesterday was 1. This is day number 2. Now tomorrow will be number 3. You may take a break then, but now July 11, we got to start working again. The thing is, you got to move quickly, Bahamians, because we have many, many problems at the constituency level. And of course, we got national problems. I'm going to ask the Patriots to assist me and others to solve one major national problem during that 18-month span. We can handle one. Because God says when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Well, we should be rejoicing in our 52nd year. Not mourning, not grumbling, not complaining. And I'm not saying you should not talk about some issues if they're hurting you. That's fine. We can live with that. But now we have to do something about it. One major national problem where people are coming together, constituents in the constituencies. That's what is important. And if you don't know how to do it, you call me. I got more than 50 years experience. I have been working with the Bahamian people. I know the Bahamian people. Now, too many of you just get personal with these people. I've known husbands and wives very well for decades. But they ain't tell me they was married. Well, I didn't ask because, they ain't tell me nothing. If you ain't tell me nothing, I don't know nothing. But we have had good, strong relationships between the husband and good, strong relationships with the wives, and there has never been a problem. Because Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson does not get into people's personal, private affairs. Now, don't say some people just tell you some things, but they can't talk it. Can't put it on global. Because they'll know. So people will tell you some things, and I've heard all kind of things over that 51-year span.
You're not going to tell the people, Professor?
No, I can't tell them.
Okay.
Because it's confidential.
Okay.
So I could keep confidentiality.
Mm-hmm.
If I did it for 51 years, I could do it for 18 months.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right. Now, of course, let me introduce my special guest, Mrs. Veronica Owens. She is a former member of parliament, and she will be the first former member of parliament to appear on this show. And we appreciate her coming to the show today. And of course, we have Mr. Dwayne Hyler, who is my regular guest on a Tuesday. And we are delighted to have Mrs. Owens. And Mrs. Owens, how are you today?
I'm doing great, thank God.
And thank God for you anyhow.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
So how you
And
been?
I must say that as a member of parliament,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
served the wonderful people of the Garden Hills
Garden Hills constituency. Yes,
Yeah,
I
it was
remember
a
that.
Really,
quite well.
really good time. I consider myself blessed to have experienced it.
Oh, that's
To work with
wonderful.
them.
Well, that's
Yes.
good. Yeah. Well, I'm sure I know you have a lot to contribute to the development of our country. And because the thing is that when we look at situations today in the country, we do have problems. And I simply say to people, yes, we have problems, but let us help those who've been elected
Yes.
to run your national affairs. We can't run away from that.
Well, that's all good and well, but the persons who have been elected have got to make themselves available for the council of the constituents.
I agree with that.
Unfortunately, we get elected today and tomorrow we consider ourselves experts in all areas,
All areas, yes.
and we neglect to consult with the people.
That is correct.
Just because the people have elected a government does not mean that the people have abdicated their rights as
Yes,
citizens,
That is correct.
their rights as human beings, and their rights under the Constitution,
Yes, ma'am.
their God-given rights
Yes.
as well. So,
Yes.
if we take those things into consideration, you spoke of righteous governance,
Yes.
and automatically I could see persons' brain going to the church.
Yes.
But righteous simply means right doing.
Right doing. That's
Right
correct.
doing. And
Yes.
so if we practice doing right, the golden rule says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yes. That's
And if
correct.
we were to use that as our mantra, if you will, then there won't be a problem, because we would always be taking into consideration that the actions that I'm about to engage
Yes.
in, would it be beneficial to someone or will it hurt someone?
That's correct.
And is this something that I would appreciate someone doing to me? And if I cannot answer to the affirmative, then I should hesitate and reconsider my actions.
No, I agree with that.
That's
100%.
righteous governance and righteous living.
Mrs. Owens, I couldn't agree with you more. Because the thing is that we have in our Constitution, it talks about Christian values and the rule of law.
Yes.
It talks about the God of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, and it talks about spiritual values,
Yes.
which are biblically sound values,
Absolutely.
which the nation was built on. And I heard a particular political, not religious personalities say that the Constitution didn't say we're a Christian nation. I tend to disagree with that, because when you are founded on some things,
That's right.
that's your foundation.
Absolutely.
And if you move away from that foundation, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
And that's what has happened over the last 51 years. We have moved away from Christian values, biblically solid values,
Mhm.
and the Constitution itself. And let me say this to the Bahamian people, as I've been saying in the past. We are to look at everything through the eyes of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, because the Constitution is the supreme law
Of
of the land.
Amen.
So all of our actions, all our statute laws, all our agreements that we make,
Mhm.
all them things that they say we sign,
Mhm.
is it constitutionally sound? Yes or
Mhm.
no? And I hear a lot of people now questioning whether things are constitutionally sound or not.
That's right.
And a lot of people have told me how much they have learned from the shows that I've been doing here on Global Radio and other radio stations in the country. The thing is that we need to be constitutionally sound. We need to
Yes.
know our Constitution. So when a representative steps out of line, or even the government steps out of line, we can say, Mr. Government, I can't agree with that because it's not constitutional. And then we could show them in the Constitution where they're
Yes.
wrong.
Well,
Where they need to
unfortunately,
correct.
absolutely. But unfortunately, not enough of our citizens are familiar with the Constitution.
You're quite right.
I cannot respect a government, Mr. Thompson,
Yes, ma'am.
that has little to no regard for the Constitution,
I'm glad
the
I'm hearing it
laws
from
of
you.
God, and the laws of the land. And
Yes.
as you've stated, the Constitution is the supreme law of the
Yes,
land.
that's correct.
And when a government disregard the Constitution, that government is making a decision to deprive the citizens of their rights.
I think you need to say that again.
When a government disregards the Constitution of the land, the government is depriving the citizens of their rights.
That is correct. I totally agree with that.
You know, the average Bahamian cannot afford the cost of justice in this country,
I agree.
because the lawyers charge exuberant fees that the average person just absolutely cannot afford, which in and of itself is unconstitutional, if you ask me, because you are denying people of justice. You're
Yes.
denying them of justice.
Yes.
And so I cannot and will not respect and or support any government that disregards and disrespects the Constitution of the land.
Mrs. Owens, I am so delighted you were saying that here on this show, because I've been trying to get the Bahamian people to say the exact same thing.
Mhm.
To watch what those who've been given the authority to run your national affairs, watch their behavior, watch their actions, and ask yourself, are they constitutionally sound? Yes or no? They are acting out of authority. They have no authority whatsoever if they're not constitutionally sound. Brother Hyler, what do you say to that?
You know, we're coming to a place. I agree. First of all, Professor, in the Bahamas, we've lifted up. Unfortunately, we've lifted a party above the Constitution. No party is more important than the Constitution of the Bahamas. There are no exceptions. We all stand on the Constitution legally, and the more we understand the rights and privileges that are afforded by the Constitution, then like voters' rights, the right to vote, that is for a Bahamian citizen.
Yes.
Now, without getting into the detail, because you've gone into the details of that on many occasions,
Yes, we
Professor.
have. Yes.
But the idea is that it's not a party that's giving you anything. They are servants, yes, but they ought to serve according to the law of the land. And we are in many problems because of the disregard for the Constitution, whether it's the lack of understanding. And it seems like it's quite possible that those who understand the Constitution may be intentionally disregarding it to the hurt and harm of the people and to the benefit of themselves,
Yes.
along with the enrichment that comes with it.
If something has been going on for 51 years, you can't tell me that's a mistake.
Absolutely not.
Wow. Yeah.
It cannot be a
Yes.
mistake.
Yes, sir.
I heard a religious personality,
Mm.
high-ranking religious personality, told the Bahamian people that the Constitution does not say we are a Christian nation.
Mm.
Well, all you have to do is go to the preamble.
Well,
What are you founded on?
Mhm.
Go ahead.
do you
Mr.
know that there are some people who actually do not consider the preamble as part of the Constitution?
That's their problem.
Well, I agree with you. But it is the preface, if you will,
Yeah.
of the Constitution, which definitely makes it a part of the Constitution. When we
Yeah.
look at a book
Yeah.
and we see the preface of the book, is
Yeah.
that not part of the book?
It is.
Yes.
The preamble of the Constitution states that we, the inheritors and the successors to this family of islands, recognizing the supremacy of
God.
capital
G-O-D.
G-O-D,
Yeah.
I
and
don't know.
believing in the fundamental rights and freedoms
Mhm.
of the
Individual.
individual.
Now, the Constitution speaks to two specific things there. The nation, and this is where I believe the particular religious leader went wrong. It talks about the fundamental rights and freedoms of who? The individual.
Absolutely.
That's a totally different aspect altogether. And he was talking about the fact that they could change their religion, which is true. And that could only happen in a nation that believes in God and has God as their head.
Yeah.
That's why we have that. You go into some of them other countries where they have a different kind of religion. You can't practice Christianity in there.
Right.
They cut you down.
Mhm.
But they're doing it here.
Mhm.
And we're not bothering with them. So why they want to bother with us?
Mhm.
And why is it that we keep compromising
Well,
our
big word.
Christian values
Yes,
for what these other particular personalities want?
that's right. And that's our fault.
That is our fault.
That's our
yes.
fault. And so on this eve of
Eve of
the
independence.
51st anniversary of
Yes, ma'am.
independence, maybe we should talk a little bit about the intent of the founding fathers
Oh, yes.
of the nation.
Yes.
You know, what did they have in mind as they crafted the Constitution
Mhm.
of the Bahamas, you know, and
Yes, ma'am.
to put the preamble and write it as it is.
As it is, yes.
Yes.
That is correct. No, you have a valid point there.
Yeah.
In fact, we had the green paper,
Mhm.
we had the white paper, and the Bahamian people were involved. And for the first time in Bahamian history, in September the 1972, young people voted for the first time to determine whether we would become an independent nation. That happened September of 1972. You know, we turned independent July the 10th, 1973.
Mhm.
So the young people, the middle-aged people, the older people, the people at that time, see, I was right there, so I know what went down. The people were on one accord to do a specific thing. Now, there were some other fellows who said independence, not now, but they wasn't sure when.
Mhm.
Okay? So that's another story. But we're talking about the fact that it happened. July the 10th, 1973, and the Bahamian people voted in that election in September of 1972 to make the determination that they wanted to be an independent nation. And there are some who are saying now, we're not independent. We're not this, we're not that. And I keep asking myself, what does it mean to be independent?
Mhm.
What does it mean to be a sovereign, independent state
Yes.
or nation? What does that mean? Does that have any meaning? What does it mean when it says the supreme law of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas? Does that have any meaning? We have downplayed so many things the founding fathers did on our behalf, and we did not up it for our benefit. And let me just say this, Mrs. Owens and Brother Dwayne Hyler. The thing is that we have had peaceful transitions in
Yes.
spite of our problems.
Yes.
From the beginning of independence, July the 10th, 1973, straight on up to now, 50 years, we have had transition of different administrations to the government of the Bahamas. And we have had that over 50 years.
Mhm.
Of course, we had it before then, but 50 years. I just wanted to concentrate on that. Mr. Bruce, I believe we have a call on the line. Call you live on there. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Professor, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to all the guests.
Yeah, okay,
Professor,
thank you.
just what I didn't hear the pastor say what he said, but I mean the Constitution really say a binding respect for Christian value. And just what I Google a binding. A binding means steady, fast, strong. You don't move it. You can't. I can't mention all the
Living.
things.
Abiding means living.
I mean, and got all kind of things. It's steady, fast. You don't move. I mean,
Is it
keep on
movable?
going on. But
You ain't
listen here.
supposed to move it.
No, it's just if you live slow, it just to show you that ain't supposed to move.
Exactly.
Right? It just keep on going on. But listen here. Look, our Bible says, when the enemy coming like a flood,
Flood.
you always lift up a higher standard. And I
Yes.
want to ask the pastor, why every time I go to church, they always give me different Bible. What about the King James Bible 1611? What's
Yes.
wrong with that? Why every time I go to visit another church, they pushing Bible in front of me? Why you all making Bible and Bible being here for 1611?
Yes.
And I want to ask one more. First, I need help with this. I need a help with this. I ain't got no money. This Constitution say abiding respect for Christian values. And these leaders, them debating on giving Christian people drugs. You're trying to disrespect us because Miles Monroe died and the Christian Council are weak and we ain't going to want to stand up for us. What are you doing? I just want to ask them, what are you doing? We need help with this. Professor, what I need to sign? I can hang up and listen to y'all. What I need to sign.
We're
I
going to
go
tell
on.
you.
Y'all have a blessed day.
We're going to tell you.
That's powerful.
Any of you want to respond to that, Brother Highland?
Only
Brother
by
Highland.
saying we need more people like that caller.
Yeah, we do.
That's all. That's all we need. He
Yes.
said, "Where do I sign?"
Yeah, do it.
Because you're talking about petitions.
Oh, we're going to tell it.
You're talking about plans.
You can hear that today.
And generally, I
You
would
can hear
say,
that today.
anyone that is standing up and fighting, just go through the details of their plans, but support them. They need your support.
Yes.
You must don't just sit idly by and think, what can one person do?
Yes.
What can I do? You can do more than you know.
That is why I threw out the challenge yesterday. And I said to the Bahamian people, we need to solve one major constituency problem in a given constituency. I'm using the Article 24:1 and also the scriptures, which says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. We had no rejoicing for 51 years. So what happened? You have to give righteous people the authority in your particular constituency, that's in your constitution, to solve one major constituency problem. You could do that in 18 months. But we got to start today. We can't waste any time. There are many, many problems in the constituencies that need solving. When we can get around to it, Bahamians.
I would like for us to, you spoke earlier about and asked the difference between being independent and what is a sovereign nation.
Yes.
Some people,
Yes,
because this is just not a Bahamian issue.
Okay.
But we look at being independent as being able to function 100% on our own.
Yes.
That will never happen.
No, that's not going to happen.
We are an interdependent world.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Okay, so we need each other globally.
Yes, we do.
Okay, however, we all have sovereign rights.
Oh, yes, we do.
Okay, so when we speak of ourselves as independent, we are speaking to our sovereignty
Yes.
and our rights as a nation that's been given the authority to handle its own affairs.
Right.
Okay,
That
and
is
so
correct.
if we understand and we are able to differentiate the difference between being interdependent versus sovereign,
Yes.
then we will understand and stop saying we're not independent. We are, to the degree that any other nation
Has those independent rights.
absolutely.
Sovereignty, yes.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Right.
And we should not allow our sovereignty to be interfered with by allowing strangers, foreigners, aliens, and outsiders to tell us what we should do, particularly when we have some hardcore foundational principles
Yes.
that the nation was built on.
Right.
But
Yeah,
you
go
say-
ahead, Brother Isaac.
But you saying that, what comes to my mind? The notion of a former prime minister of the Bahamas
Yes.
making a statement in Parliament that the time may come, ladies and gentlemen, where leaders of the Bahamas or governments will have to do unconstitutional things.
Yes.
Question is why?
Good question.
I personally reject that notion.
Okay.
What do you mean we have to do unconstitutional things? What are you trying to prepare our minds for? We don't have to do nothing unconstitutional.
That's correct.
Our constitution says A. Another nation, their constitution says B.
Yes.
So they can go by B. We
And
go
we go
by A.
That's right.
That's it.
It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
We recognize God as supreme
Yes.
and we abide by Christian values.
Yes.
We have an abiding respect for Christian values, even those that are not Christian.
Yes.
Let's just take, if you could get a glimpse into the future of what the protection of doing goodwill generally, what goodwill means,
Yes.
and doing what is right, and compare that to have a nation governed by persons who are not committed to doing right, not committed to integrity, not committed to the rule of law. what kind of society would you have?
Yes.
Anarchy, everything upside down. Anyone do what they want to do. Corruption left, right, and center. That's what you're saying when you are not abiding by the rule of law and not abiding by the laws of God, the laws of the land.
We can expound on that. Oh, Mrs. Owens, you want to say something? Caller,
Well,
just hold on, please. Go
I
ahead.
just want to say that it was not established at the beginning of this show why I'm here.
Yes, ma'am.
I am here, and I have stated that I cannot and will not support any government that disenfranchises its people by disregarding the Constitution, because when you disregard the Constitution, the people have no recourse.
Yes.
Okay. And so I am here. I've been functioning in the capacity of political advisor
Yes,
to
ma'am.
the Bahamas Constitution Party.
Yes.
I believe in what this group, this party is doing
Yes, ma'am.
for two reasons. One, they honor and respect God, first and foremost.
Good.
And secondly, they are basing the party and everything it's about on the Constitution of the Bahamas.
Yes, ma'am.
In my view, you can't go wrong supporting a group like that and being governed by a group that honors and respects God and the Constitution of the land.
I agree with you.
And so that's why I'm here today. I'm here because they are introducing me to the nation as their political advisor.
Yes, ma'am. No, thank you very much. I'll call you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Brother Sid,
Hey, what's happening, man?
man, what a beautiful day.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow is the big day,
Yeah.
independent.
Yes.
Yes.
And I just come to tell you, man, happy independent, man.
Yes.
Mhm.
Same to
This
you.
is a beautiful country that we are in.
Yes.
Very much so.
Yes.
And man, look here. I wonder if you go into the celebration tonight.
I'm going to try and get out there. Yes.
Man, you should go there tonight. I mean, I tell you the things what's going to be happening, man. I tell you, man, it ain't no country like this, I believe, on the face of this earth.
Yeah.
God
Right.
bless us with this, with, with everything we get to our hand and stuff like that, that we are free to worship. We are free
Oh, yes.
get on the radio to say some things,
Yes.
you know. So I only call you to tell you, man, happy independent. And I always, one day pose I ask you, you always saying, name one major thing
Yes.
that the representative do in their constituency.
That's correct.
Now, I put it to you. You have to say what are you looking for? Because to me, what may be major to me may not be major to you.
Okay, hold it
So
right
you
there.
have to tell us what are you looking for?
Oh,
'Cause
hold it. Caller,
I
hold it.
see now in most and all the areas, them now they're putting now. They get the auditorium now. They get the swimming pool, and who want access to it, and they get everything else. So that's a major thing that the people in their constituency could really use. They can have function and different things in this auditorium and things like that. So So anyway, we'll play catch up. God permit on Thursday.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. He asked me an interesting question. And of course, I'm going to answer that because the thing is, these constituencies have major problems that afflict them every living day. They ought to know what they are. And I challenged them over the next 18 months. And I said to them, if we can find righteous people, because the Bible says when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Do you want rejoicing, or do you want the other part which says when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn? Do you want that? You have to make a choice. So I'm going to deal with this a little bit more because he asked an interesting question. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. My special guest today, and Brother Hyle is here, Mrs. Veronica Owens. We are so delighted to have you here today. Thank you very much for coming. We'll be back after the break.
information, there's only one name you can call on. Redikill Initial. Call us at 322-2157.
From South Beach to Bay Street.
I'm pleased, I really dig your company.
It's your chance to join the discussion of today's issue. Let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
We are back. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. We are so delighted to have Mrs. Veronica Owens here, and we have Mr. Dwayne Hyler. Mrs. Owens, we appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you
The
having
first person coming in as a former member of Parliament on this radio show.
me. Yes.
Okay, so we choose very wisely.
I'm honored.
We choose very wisely. We have a call on the line. Let's see if we can get the call out of the way, and then we're going to let Mrs. Owens respond, and of course, Dwayne Haller will respond. Call you live on air. Go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, Professor.
Hey, how are you? How are you?
I'm good. Real quick, I mean, you sound like you have such an intellectual body of minds over there. I
Yes,
thought I
we
would
do.
throw in this question.
Yes.
Can the Prime Minister make a voting bloc of Haitians? I'll make it short. Is it constitutionally sound for him to do this?
Wait a minute now. Let me make sure I understand your question.
Yes, sir.
Ask the
Say it
question
again?
again.
Okay. We have sleuths of ships coming into the Bahamas illegally,
Yes.
and they are dwelling in the bushes in the Bahamas. Can the Prime Minister go into their community and say, I'm you and I am you and we are one, and come vote for me?
Well, he made some similar remarks to what you just
Similar.
said.
I think it's the exact thing.
Yes.
Yes. I want to ask the Constitutional Party there right now, is this possible for these people? Because they're saying they have 300,000 applicants right
Yes.
now as we speak.
Yes.
And they're like 300,000 of them already here.
Okay.
And there are only about 400,000 of us.
Okay.
How is this possible that if these people can vote, we're gone next election?
Okay.
And that's my question. Is this
Okay.
possible?
We're gonna answer that question.
I'm sure you will.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mrs. Owens, you want to comment on?
Before we go to answering that question, I wish to address the question that was
Yes,
asked
that's
on
what I want you to
Facebook
do. Yeah, Facebook. Yes.
with regards to whether I know the Constitution.
Yes.
I studied law in the United States, not to the point of becoming a lawyer, but
Yes,
a
ma'am.
paralegal.
Yes.
And
ma'am.
as you know, paralegals do the legal research for lawyers.
Yes.
But I said that to say I will never forget a statement made by one of the professors in one of the classes, the law classes that I was taking. And he said, a good lawyer does not know all the law. The good lawyer know where to find the good law.
Say that again, please. I think that needs to be repeated.
A good lawyer does not know all of the law. In other
Yes.
words, there's nobody that knows everything about anything,
Yes,
including the law.
that's correct.
But a good lawyer
Good.
is the lawyer who knows where to find the good law.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I apply that principle to myself as it relates to the Constitution
Yes.
of the Bahamas.
Yes.
That which I do not know, I know where to go and find.
Yes, ma'am. That
That's-
is good.
well,
Yes,
that's
Brother
excellent.
Hyler.
Yes, because you're talking about knowing what to apply and when to apply it.
Yes.
And that's very important. We're not going to get away from the question on the voting block,
Yes.
but where this conversation takes my mind, it goes to BPL right now,
Yes.
yes.
where the law is not being applied to the activity
Yes.
of the government and the prime minister in particular.
Yes.
The law is not being applied because we know what the law states. So a good lawyer, and there are many good lawyers in the government, in the opposition, in the union, In the utility company, there are a whole host of lawyers all around this deal and economists who are saying it seems by all indications that this institution is being privatized. That's
Okay.
what the economists are saying,
Yes.
while the prime minister is saying nobody is selling anything.
Okay.
And the energy minister is saying it's not being sold. Now, whether we play with words, what we do understand is that the assets of the Bahamian people are being transferred
Yes.
out of the ownership of the Bahamian people
Ah, that's
into
serious.
another entity
Yes.
owned by a foreign concern. So the assets will leave the ownership, the hands of the Bahamian people.
Yes.
That is known and that was stated. Whether you call it selling, we don't have it no more. We can't get a loan against it anymore. We cannot hold it as collateral. We cannot call it ours. Can we truly call it ours?
You can't.
Possession is 9/10 of the law, some would say.
Yes.
So who's in possession of it? Who has the right to negotiate based on it?
Yes.
All of the rights and privileges of an owner are vested in the foreigner as it relates to BPL
Yes.
under the proposed deal.
Okay.
All of the rights and privileges, all indications are that there's a transfer. That is the word that is used. So whether you want to say own or sold or whatever it is, the point is it's not ours any longer under the proposed deal for 25 years.
That's
So
a long
a
time.
good lawyer will know where to find the good law and apply it to the situation.
And so what happens after 25 years?
Good question.
Well, they're saying, well, we could buy it back. No,
I have
literally.
to buy back my
have to-
own asset.
Your own
Well,
asset.
that's telling you right there, you don't own it.
Okay.
You
That's
know,
correct.
they literally did not say it'll be transferred back to us. No, we can buy it back. So in the language and the discussion of the deal, all of the answers are inside the deal that it's not a good deal. And as far as the good law in this situation is the IRCA Act,
Yes.
which was established to govern all utilities.
Okay.
The IRCA Act states that the government of the Bahamas has a duty to consult the Bahamian people prior to entering any negotiation or regulatory change to the framework.
Okay.
Key words, prior to.
Yes.
Yes.
The words of the Prime Minister of the Bahamas were, as soon as the ink is dry on those
On
documents,
those documents.
the details will be provided to the Bahamian
And
people.
Yes.
After the ink is dry.
Yes.
That's after. So
Not before.
he said after.
After.
Yes.
The good law states prior to,
Prior to. Yes.
but the
Yes.
activity
Yes.
says after.
Yes.
You taught us that, Professor
Oh yes.
Thompson.
Oh yes.
You said, don't listen to what they say. Watch
What they
What
do.
they do.
Exactly.
You taught us that. You
That is
taught
quite
me
right.
that.
Yes.
So while I'm listening to what they say, I'm watching what they do, and it does not correspond.
Yes.
Their actions do not match their words.
Good. Okay. Now I want to answer the question that the
Yes.
caller
On the
called.
voting block.
Yeah, he mentioned the
Press
voting
on,
block. Okay.
Professor.
All right. Now, of course, we know the Prime Minister made some remarks to some people, the current one who is there now,
Mhm.
and to the effect that he said, "I'm one of you and you one of me, and we're all together.
We are one.
We are one," etc.
Y'all are
Now-
Bahamians. He said, y'all are Bahamians.
That's what he said.
Yes.
Now, what does the Constitution say? Because it would seem as if you have many persons who are trying to be naturalized. Now, naturalization, according to our Constitution, ended July of 1974. And that was only for a specific group of people,
Yes.
as mentioned in the Constitution. No one could be naturalized today. Constitutionally, it is not possible. So no particular personality who is in the cabinet or even a prime minister can just open his mouth and automatically make people citizens. That's utter nonsense and foolishness. But we have people who are applying in large numbers, saying they want to be naturalized. There is no provision in our Constitution to naturalize them. So every piece of paper they get in their hand is a fraudulent document that is not constitutionally sound. And these are the things we have to face. Watch what the government is doing. Watch what the immigration department is doing. Well, they say the immigration committee is the cabinet. Okay. We have to watch what they're doing. The man said his immigration minister did nothing wrong. Meaning he did nothing wrong. His cabinet did nothing wrong. But then we need to check the evidence, hardcore evidence, and look for the good law. The Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, is it constitutionally sound? I'm hearing a lot of people asking that question today. Is what the government of the Bahamas doing constitutionally sound? Yes or no?
That's a big no.
The thing is that we have some very serious problems. We have some strangers, some foreigners, some aliens, some outsiders in this country. What are they doing here? What are we becoming as a people? And yet some of us are just sitting back and thinking it's business as usual. It can't be that way. That's why I said the Bible says when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. And to answer the caller's question, he asked about what do I mean when I talk about major constituency problems. And let me explain to you, caller, and for all of you out there, because I've been through this many, many times, but it seems like it's not registering in your heads. The point is, major constituency problems are problems that affect the lives of those constituents every living day, what they're grumbling and complaining about. We're going through it every living day, having one little park somewhere, having some bags of rice and chicken and fish and them kind of thing. Having an auditorium, that's fine. But what about these major issues that affect the very lives of the people in that particular constituency? That's what we need to be thinking about.
And
Go ahead, Mr.
Professor,
Douglas.
when a citizen has to contemplate whether the little money that they are in possession of is going to go towards paying the astronomical energy bill,
Yes.
or paying their mortgage, or buying medicine,
Yes, ma'am.
or any of those, paying the mortgage,
Yes.
those very important aspects of a person's
Life, yes.
then that's a major concern.
Of course it is a major concern.
It's a major, and that's what's happening.
That
you
is
know?
happening.
And so the other day we were sharing some information. I was sharing some information with some friends.
Yes, ma'am.
And the topic of the IDB giving the Bahamas government a loan for $170-something million to bring about the solarization of the Family Islands.
Yes, ma'am.
Came up. And I thought, really? What? When did all this happen? You know, and where is that project? You know, what is the status of it
Of
and
the
all
project.
that kind of stuff, you know? And so these are the things, and this is what I said at the beginning of the show, I think I said. But, you know, because we have elected a government does not mean that we have abdicated
Our
our
responsibility,
rights
yes.
and our responsibilities.
That's correct.
We still have the right to be consulted
Yes.
on matters that directly impact and affect our lives.
Yes.
You know, and so we need to become more serious, and we need to make up our minds whether we are committed to seeing future generations of Bahamians inherit better than we have.
I agree with you. Now, let me go back to the Constitution again. The Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas talk about a national commitment to do some very specific things. national commitment to self-discipline.
Mhm.
And a lot of us don't even have self-discipline. But we need a national commitment to self-discipline for the nation. First, the individual, on the community level, in the family level,
Mhm.
but it also is needed for movement of the nation. You have to be committed to some very specific things that are in the document.
Right.
That's what I want to call it, to understand.
Mhm.
There are some things that are hurting us, and Ms. Owens, you mentioned that just now.
Mhm.
These are the things I'm talking about. I'm talking about no chicken and rice,
Mhm.
okay, and no school bag with some books in it. If we get our people to have dignity and respect for themselves and assist them and make them get on their feet, mommy and daddy can take care of those issues and more. We have to live for more than that. What is going to be the future of this country for the children that are yet unborn? We got plenty of pigeons out there
Mhm.
right now who ain't got no mother, who ain't got no daddy. Some of us gonna have to be substitute mothers, substitute fathers
Mhm.
to have these children.
Mhm.
Those are the kind of things I'm talking about. Things that affect their very lives, their very day. Every single day, they have to decide. I got a couple of dollars in my hand.
Mhm.
I got to put this on the mortgage, or I got to put this on the rent, or put this on the light bill.
But we don't think anything about someone who present themselves to us as a foreign investor.
Yes.
We allow them to come into this country and raise the capital that they need for that investment,
Right.
where a foreign investor is supposed to actually inject capital into our
He's supposed to bring
economy.
that with him when he
He's
comes.
supposed to bring that
Right.
with him when he comes.
Exactly.
You know, back to independence, this was not what the founding fathers
No, they
intended
did
for
not
the
intend.
country and the people of the Bahamas.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we have totally disregarded the Bahamianization.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
does that even exist anymore?
That's a good question.
Yeah. And that's where we started at the original independence.
Yes. I believe we have a caller on the line. I think my producer's telling me we have a caller on the line. So we're going to get back to the discussion. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
What's going on, Professor? Everything good?
Well, we got some problems. Let me put it that way. And we're having a
Yeah.
discussion. And happy
Yeah.
independence. I must say that to the Bahamian people. Happy
Yes.
independence. And
Yeah.
happy independence to you, caller.
Yeah, man, to you and your guest.
Yes.
Yes.
Professor, let me tell you and your guest what's going on. And rather be, and this ain't no accepting thing, you know what I mean? But these elders who lead in this country, to me, there's an extension of leaders who was before them. To me, it's just like they was just waiting their time, and then they just keep on that agenda. And I hear you keep preaching to us, Bahamians, right? I want you to take a look on every island under the Bahamas. And to me, these leaders, that's so treasonous, because a person like me right now, I feel like they should stand trial just for treason to what they do to us.
Okay.
Because if you look at most of business in the Bahamas, because I start to read the Constitution a little bit, I where you all is, but certain business, if I right or wrong, I want you all to correct me. Certain business supposed to only be rectified for Bahamians, right?
That's correct.
Yes. Yes.
You know, you understand, like cutting grass and things like that. Because I believe the forefather, them who write the Constitution, was looking out for the small man. So
That
he's
is
saying,
true.
look here, if you could grab your little lawnmower and go do this, but now who that get taken over by? Even you got Bahamians and big companies what is hire these Haitians and things like that.
Okay.
And if you look at right now, here's my problem. How you could have a man come on TV? You know, the people who was going around checking if people pay their bill to the government or whatnot. And he's
Yes.
saying what he found when he going in, like people on work permit, but he ain't working where they supposed to be. They supposed to be working on farms. What farms around here? What farms around here? And my thing is, if you find somebody would have a work permit and they're where they supposed to be, that's a violation. Why you ain't lock them up?
Okay.
And what is the big deal with why we can't find out who bringing these people in and in housing these people? that's another violation.
Yes.
You understand what I'm trying
No,
to
I
say?
agree with you, Carla. Yeah.
All I'm saying is you hearing a bunch of talks, but then you ain't really seeing no action from the immigration. To me, when you look at what they profile is the only thing is to keep people who ain't supposed to be in this country out of it. You understand? And then go after those who come in the country to make sure they leave on a timely basis.
Okay.
To me, that is not being done. But you don't hear nothing regard to them. Nothing, like you don't like everybody just accepting what they said.
Mm-hmm.
But the younger ones, we sitting back and we watching. We hearing you, you know. We hearing when you come in through with your passion and you say behemoth. But like I trying to say, now you speak into two sets. You speak into two sets. You speak into one, to me, what don't care about this Bahamas at all. You think them ones would celebrate the Haitian Flag Day and be there at the Bahamian Flag Day? No. So it's two. The country is being split in two. And what me tell you would break my heart and what got me so outraged is the elder ones were doing it to us. The Braves, the Perry, the Ingrams, and then they want to write books and be celebrated when they go on, pass on to glory and things like that. You understand? And then when I march up, you know what I go into school for when I come back to Atlanta? You know that every place what I went to, I was talking to a foreigner telling me how Bahamians run and I too overqualified. You know how that make me feel? And then you are talking about, oh, let them come back home. Well, I home. They telling me I overqualified, but I speaking to foreigners who running the Solomons, who running the Sawyers, who running these big. I mean, y'all don't understand what the small Bahamian man saying. It's fine to say that, but I saying it's your own the leader. The leader. Could somebody please get it? Y'all could row as much as y'all want to, but to go, especially here in Freeport, please do not believe none of the Ginger Moxie, none of the man would come from. Do not Freeport is Freeport has fallen, and people seems to like all of these places where they talking about the hotel and the airports, and nothing is moving on that. Nothing is moving on that, sir. And then you watching the other people, and I'm calling them the ones. How two Haitians would come into the Bahamas? Y'all need to just clarify some stuff. Two Haitians would come in from the Bahamas. They land here, going into a bush, build a house, build riches. They had a child, and then go into the hospital, and then whatever they get stuff, and they children believe because they born here. That message got to get, I talking about that particular thing, need to get weed out. Because there shouldn't be no path for them based on their parents' behavior. That's how I look at it. Because now I competing with outside forces who want to wipe me off the map.
Okay.
And I have a child. What it is against it? Because somebody who's sitting around the 3-year-old who's sitting around there. Right now I got to deal with light bill, rent, food, and my daughter. Your words can't pacify me. But the truth will. And I'm trying to say is, if you have a man who leading this country, and they saying things like, oh, the Bahamas is better, and I watching that, do you understand where my frustration come from?
Of course.
Yeah.
I don't think you understand it. Like to sit there and say, oh, the Constitution, who we really speaking with when you know things happening behind there? You have the biggest treason, listen to me, is the immigration department.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care to see to me like this. I believe God just like this, just like he's ice, he's also fire. He also say, look here, I could give life, but I also could take it.
Judgment, yeah.
To me, he ain't speaking with two tongues, but he's speaking whatever I feel God say he can't take back. So if you have to defend your land, why it is we be so passive with the truth? Why we just can't say the truth? And here's what the truth is. Because to me, an original, I can tell you my mother, where my mother, them from. I come from school in Albania now almost 1 year and can't find a job. And if I tell you what I went for, and I tell you the white man sit me down, and I asked him one or two things when he's interviewing me, and he couldn't answer it. And he come from someplace way out Irish or English. How he get? And I looking at this, and I went and talked to certain people. I say, see my papers? You know, they tell me it's their business. So they hire who they want to hire, and they operate this.
Wow.
the law was supposed to say, okay, we protecting you. But then when you listen to the radio, they saying, oh, we want Bahamians to come home. We want Bahamians to do this. You understand? People feel what they don't understand, sir.
Yeah.
People feel what you got righteous people like you, the lady, the gentleman who talking about the power bill and all of this stuff like that. But I'm saying to the local Bahamian, when you look at, if my mommy had 4 kids, the Haitians them had 10 kids. Do you see where it's going? And then you have people with giving them papers with stating that, hey, you must speak English. But even on your show, if you tune in this Sunday, you hearing a Haitian pastor. You understand what I'm trying to say?
I fully understand.
I get offended. I can leave on this. I get offended just like the other cultures, sir.
Yeah.
I cannot drive my car on beach now because you taking offense and doing right off. You bring in ships to our key. I don't get it. A ship riding around, showing paradise to people who are coming for warm weather and crystal waters. You giving them the land, and they telling you we can give you jobs. Because somebody in that room make sense. And then a young person got to go to them to go beg for a job what is minimum wage. What got kids? Do you all understand? That's the slow death of Bahamians.
Yes.
You understand what I'm trying to say? You are asking me, but you're doing it in the slowest. Then you got these old people like Brave Davison who following a policy of their party, but not by the Constitution. And it's slowly murdering us and putting us in debt. Jamaica was not always how it was. I mean, how that is now.
Okay.
And it's terrifying, you know what I mean? But I leave it like that, sir. Nice taking my call.
Well, caller, what I want to do, if you haven't left, would you leave your name and number with the producer for me, please? Mr. Producer, I would like for you to take the name and number of that gentleman. I think he's from Grand Bahama. He has some very valid points. I gave him the opportunity to express himself, and that is very good. Mr. Producer, please, if you could get that information.
And I fully
Veronica,
understand.
You could call first, and then Mr. Hylas.
Thank you. I fully understand, appreciate what he is saying. My heart breaks.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I realize that he is speaking the truth. He's speaking what actually is. And what is even more hurtful is that he's a Bahamian man.
Yes.
He is a man who has responsibilities. I think he mentioned a family.
Yes.
You know,
he has a daughter. Yeah.
We are emasculating the Bahamian man with the lack of a Bahamianization policy. We are emasculating the Bahamian man by allowing foreigners to come in and do whatever they want to do, and our people go without.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a friend in the United States who mentioned that she's been to the Bahamas. She had a wonderful time. Bahamians are very courteous. The food is great. The environment. I mean, she couldn't stop singing our praises. But you know how she ended what she had to say? By asking the question, why is it that there are so much poverty in the nation?
I think we're going to have to just call to a break right here because I hear the music right in my ears.
Okay. Yes.
But we're going to let you continue when we get back. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. I'm very delighted that we allowed that caller to make those comments, and we're going to be speaking to that. We will be back after the break.
Express Yourself Live will return right after.
like we've never seen before. All of these things. And then when you look at the amount of people that are just resigning, just short of their professional lifespan, just saying they've had enough or whatnot, not encouraged. There's not a strong sense of encouragement
Yes.
out in the community. And
No, there isn't. I
you know,
agree with that.
now, I personally, I will celebrate, but I'll tell you that I'm not celebrating what I see in the community. I'm not celebrating what I see the leadership doing to the Bahamian people.
Yes.
I'm celebrating certain people, certain groups, certain organizations, and I'm not even talking politically, including that, but otherwise. Bahamian people have a very positive outlook and spirit. Is what people feel when they come and, oh, you're so friendly, you're serving. It's like we have been beaten down.
Yes. Yeah.
We've been beaten down. We're tired. I don't know if we've given up or if we're hopeless, but I'm just saying to the Bahamian people, the best is yet to come.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't give up.
Yes.
God is still on our side.
Amen.
Yes, he is.
And he will get his way.
Yes.
We just need to let him lead the way and step forward. Everybody put their best foot forward. But you have to stand up, whether it's at the company level, whether it's at the family level. We gotta speak against what is hurting us, what is harming us. We gotta identify and speak up.
Yes.
When it comes to organizationally, organizations like the Chamber of Commerce is on my mind. The Employees Confederation. I gotta say, y'all may think this is like political, but the police force, the defense force, you have to speak up. And now the thing about it is, we see what happens when people speak up, but you still have to do it. You have to speak up at all costs. We are losing ground. We're becoming less of who we were.
Yes.
We are becoming less of our shine. Like we lose our shine. No, we have to get ourselves back who we are. That fighting spirit, that camaraderie, that solidarity. This nation was built on solidarity and coming together. We built on labor. The labor movement built this country.
Yes, it did.
Now look what's happening to the labor movement right now. They're being beat down, slapped around. Unions are being pushed to the side, coming to say we are being kept in the dark. No, that's the opposite of who we are.
Yes.
That's the opposite of what should be happening. So we need to require that of anybody, regardless of the title that they carry. They work for us.
Yes, they do.
They work for us. So
But
we
as
need to.
a result of
think.
what's happening,
Mhm.
we have had a tremendous brain drain in this
Wow.
country.
Wow.
Very
We have
serious, yeah.
young, really qualified Bahamians that are all over the globe.
Mhm.
Okay. I remember one of the prime ministers stating that they was consulting with the leadership of Singapore
Yes.
and asked, what is the reason behind the success that you're having across the board? And the leader of Singapore said to them that their two top advisors are your countrymen. So in other words, in his two top advisory positions, he had Bahamians.
Amen. Yes.
And that's not unique. We have Bahamians in every discipline all over the world.
Yes, we do.
All over the world. But they don't feel confident enough to come home that, they will be recognized and appreciated for what they have worked very diligently to achieve.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
they can be utilized in the growth and development of their own country.
Right.
We have
okay.
to correct that.
No, we have to correct that. We'll just go put it on that. I think we have a call on the line. Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Just said I will not be long.
Yes, sir.
But this is Independence Eve. And if I don't say it today, it'll never be said.
Okay.
I did a song with Phil Stubbs. Remember this great Bahamian patriot?
Yes.
Yes. It's called I'm Proud to Be Bahamian. And when it was done, he did it at my studio in Freeport, like that man over there. We drank the same water. I said to him, Phil, how do you want to call this song? I said, I'm proud to be a Bahamian, or proud to be. He said, I'm proud to be Bahamian. And I could never figure out why he said that. But now I just realized why. Well, I realized a couple of days ago why he said that. You see, Brave Davis can make a Bahamian, but only God can make Bahamians.
I hear you. I hear you. Okay.
And he said to me, and I can make it quick. He said to me, one of these days, Steve, that's my name, Freeport the musician.
Yes, sir.
He said that one day we can hit each other on our elbows, and like the Indians in America, we'll say that's a Bahamian over there.
Yes.
And that's what that's what I'm so afraid of. That's why I ask you learned people, please tell me if the Haitians can vote in the next election. That's what I'm asking.
It's a good question.
Thank you.
Can answer that.
And happy Independence to
Happy
you.
Independence Day. Yes, definitely. Yes. No, you the young man who had called in from Freeport, he himself said he came back to the country, and he is having some challenges because he's finding that others are coming in, not contributing to the country and having children in this country, competing against himself and his children. So in other words, they're encroaching on our land, our assets, everything that we have in our country being shared with some other people who are here in the bushes, who are here illegally, coming out of the bushes now, say they want to be naturalized. The point is that we have these issues, we have these problems that afflict us, and we have to find a way to deal with that. We have the Holy Bible, we have the Constitution. We have to understand that we have to have God in our knowledge, God in our understanding. If we leave God out of the picture, we're doomed. The Constitution speaks to the God of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the true God. That's who we ought to be following. That's why I mentioned about the scripture which says in Proverbs, when the righteous are in authority, and you explain that doesn't mean religion or somebody in one church somewhere. It's people who are doing what is right. There has to be a standard. The standard of the Holy Scriptures. The standard is in the Constitution.
The Constitution.
Yes,
Right.
where it talks about a national commitment to do some very specific things. To do what? To preserve our freedoms. Which simply means if we're not making these national commitments real, we won't have those freedoms anymore. We're going to lose them. But Hyla, go ahead, please.
Well, in a very practical sense, I'm listening very carefully as you speak, Professor Thompson. We are losing rights and privileges.
Yes.
And like you said, if we do not preserve them, they will be lost.
They'll be lost, yes.
Prime Minister Sir Lyndon himself was quoted as saying, if you're not prepared to fight for what you have, then you don't deserve to have it.
Yes.
Those are very ominous words, and I'm very concerned because I don't see the fight in my people. You see, we're very kind and loving people. It's not about love,
No, it's not about
It's
that.
not about humanitarianism and caring for your brothers,
Right.
your fellow Caribbean citizens.
Right.
It's not about that.
Yes.
But if you are losing something, you cannot complain if you're not prepared to say, hold on, stop.
Stop it, yes.
At least if somebody step into your yard, you're going to say, hold on, stop. What you doing
Yeah.
in here?
What you're doing.
Come out the
yeah.
yard.
Yes.
That's just a normal thing.
Right.
As a nation, we are not doing that, Professor.
No, we're not. I agree with you. Because I wouldn't want to believe that my mother and father, who were at the full fury of the government of that day, I came in on the tail end. I wouldn't want to believe that with them, that's the last generation of those fighting Bahamian citizens who fought hard to give us what we have today, what we're enjoying now, and then we simply roll over and say, we stop. We don't do nothing. We do nothing to change things. And this is what we have to start looking at, finding a new way of doing things.
Yes.
Because 51 years has proven going over the same thing over and over and over again, shifting from this particular entity to that particular entity, ain't work.
Right.
We got 51 years to prove it. Now we're on the verge of starting year 52. And there are some specific things that we need to do in order for that to come about.
I had a similar conversation with someone just yesterday,
Yes, ma'am.
and I was speaking and saying we have to stand up for
Yes,
our
we do.
rights.
Yes,
You know,
we
just
have
like
to.
you said.
Yes.
I said, and I fear that we are not doing that, just as you've said.
Yes, ma'am.
And the person responded, you know, it's not that. He said there is still such strong victimization going on in this country
I want to speak to that.
until people are afraid to stand up because they are taking into consideration, I've got a family that I've got to feed and shelter, you know, afford the basic necessities of life.
Very serious.
Yes.
Okay. And so that's their first consideration.
Yes.
But, you know, there comes a time when we have to feel so strongly about certain things that we are prepared to go the extra mile and do whatever is necessary.
Right.
And this is such a time in the history and the life of the Bahamas.
It certainly is. And it brings me right to what Jesus said in the book of Matthew about the Gentiles. The Gentiles are concerned about the food, the clothes, the this, the that. And God says, sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Do we believe that God can protect us, that he can provide for us? He said he provides for the birds, provides for the animals. They don't put nothing in no barn. They ain't stocking upon nothing, but yet he said your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Yes or no? We are much more valuable. And that's why he said, oh, you of little faith. Are we prepared to stand up for those things that are so important to life? He said, I give you this day, choose life and death.
Yes.
Blessing and cursing. Then he gives us the advice. Therefore, choose what? Choose life that both you and your seed, that's your children now, will live.
Yes.
So are we prepared to stand up and do that? Or are we going to settle for the little bag with the little groceries, one little rice and some chicken and some books in one little bag and say, no. We have to put that down because we've been going through that nonsense for 51 years. It ain't work. You see the condition we're in. We have to be prepared to stand up. Now, people talk about victimization. Jesus told us to love our enemies, right? Now, a lot of people may not understand this, but he has a way of doing what? He can protect you and cause your enemies to do what? To be your footstool, to be at peace with you.
Yes.
Are we prepared to stand up for that which is right and trust Almighty God to pull us through? Because he always can pull us through.
But that's the decision we have to make.
That's a decision we have to make. I agree with you.
Yeah.
That's why I quoted the scripture. When the righteous are in authority, what happens? The people rejoice. Do we want to rejoice in our 52nd year? Yes. That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Well, then we got to get some righteous people on the ball. Because the opposite of that is when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn.
Yes.
That's what's happening. So we have to make choices. That's why God said, I put before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose what? Choose life that you may live.
Amen.
Not some chicken over there and one chicken in the bag and them funny things.
You
or
know,
some books at the bag. Go ahead, brother.
what is going to come to right now, because we're speaking of, are we prepared to stand up?
Yes.
We're saying you have to get up and say something. I'm thinking of, I know we also talking about immigration. So just to tie it all together, you know, there's a particular female immigration officer that stood up. Now, it's debatable how she went about it, what she did. Was it right or wrong? But an immigration officer sought to bring out information to alert the public as to what was happening.
Yes.
Now, after she stood up, she was unceremoniously dismissed. And after a few weeks, the association did come forward to state that they do not agree with the position that was taken. So here's immigration now, and this is very serious. Immigration, it took a few weeks, but at least they came out to say something. Now, I would say, had they come out sooner, had they come out in greater numbers, had they had public support, had they had media support, because every media is supposed to be seeking out the lady. What did you experience?
Yes.
Everybody, leader, go the association, the gentleman that lead the association
Yes.
of the immigration officer, go and look for him.
Of course.
What's happening?
That's right.
What's going on here?
Yes.
So, see, they are defending our borders. They are defending us. They are putting their lives on the line for us. We need to celebrate them. So as we celebrate, we're celebrating independence. We need to celebrate one another.
Yes.
We need to honor one another in what we do. Whether we say, oh, but some defense force officers are a little too aggressive. Some police officers are too aggressive. Okay,
they can deal with that.
There are going to be some bad apples, but look at the overall picture and honor what it is that they do.
Okay, Brother Hala, we had a call on the line. I'll call you live on here. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, first thing, Mr. Thompson, I'd like to apologize. I called Liberty about a week or so ago, and I made some derogatory statements. I apologize to you, sir. You accept my apology?
Yes, it's accepted.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm a patriotic person, and,
I know that. Someone vouched that for me.
The Bahamian spirit is officially dead, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Independence like tomorrow, no flags up and thing. And I mean, it's like, it's a consciousness for the mere fact that the government ain't really been doing for this 51 years coming up with the attention of the Bahamian people, and the spirit is dead.
Yes,
and
sir.
I mean, like, look around. I see one car with flags on it. No, I mean, it's boys.
Very interesting.
We got problems. We got problems.
No, we do.
Wow.
We certainly do.
No, honestly, man. And we got so much of a mouth that when you're looking around, it's like they ain't no Bahamian, but they here, and they ain't loyal, but they here, and they basically they kill the Bahamian spirit because Bahamian government be what Bahamians supposed to do because they are color and they call them us.
Yes.
The government, they get all these big projects and things, and they say, well, we have this amount of Bahamian jobs, and let's give it to them.
Yes, sir.
But Mr. Thompson, you always ask the question, name one thing that the previous governments or just the government in general, that's a problem they solve, right?
Yes.
But what is the irony in my mind when you say that, and it came to me today, right?
Yes, sir.
Name one problem that the Christian church and the Bible solves in this country, Mr. Thompson.
Okay.
Don't hang up on my mind. Don't make a bad spread, Mr. Thompson. Name one problem.
Can I
all
comment?
these murders, all these thiefings, and all these other rapings, and all these other kind of kings that are around, other than the integrity king.
Caller, you stay on the line. I'm going to let my two guests. I'll see if they can speak to it. Mr. Hyler. No, I'll speak to it too. Mr. Hyler, would you comment on what the caller's been saying?
Listen, caller, in terms of what the Bible has done or the church, see, on an individual basis, we're talking about a change of heart, right? God comes to change us. We all have to make our decisions. But if I were to speak personally, the Bahamian people has my whole life and my whole heart. God himself has my whole life and my whole heart. I'm not willing to do wrong. I'm not willing to sell out the Bahamian people. I'm here to fight. I'm here to educate. I'm here to collaborate with others to go to that place that God has planned for us and go to that place where the framers of our Constitution had for us. We're here to fight. So what I'm saying to you is we hear words like integrity almost every day. Now, we don't see it every day.
No. But you know what? I say, I believe I said with people 2 weeks ago or a little earlier than that, right?
Uh-huh.
I said that if we had like another tier of government, right, that is above, like how America have like the FBI,
Understood.
and then you have the federal government that oversees this, whatever government come in, but they get jail down.
Wow.
Okay.
It's like we need that kind of separation, because even when like this thing with the police and voice message, whatever go down, right?
Okay.
And for the police commissioner to say that there's going to be like, an investigation done that is not going to be like you say, basically, well, it's going to be unhindered by police or whatever, right? But
Yes.
just the mere fact, police can't investigate the policeman.
Okay.
And when you got big chiefs like that and things like that, how they can investigate them and all them on the same plane?
Okay.
You need an independent organization.
Excellent
that,
point.
Yes.
that, beg your pardon?
Excellent point. Excellent
No,
point.
and it has to be foreign because you don't have it here now. And for us to put something together, it's going to be political, it's going to be tainted.
Caller,
Okay.
caller, just listen out to the media
Yes, sir.
for what is happening,
Yes,
but
sir.
the media will be asked to cover all expressions from whatever quarter. That's what the fourth estate is supposed to do. Let me tell you why I'm saying this. You see what you're saying right there?
Yes, sir.
We hold the same view as you do. So when we ask the press to come and hear, not just hear us, we are listening to you and we are taking the sentiments, the thoughts, the ideas that you have. You are the Bahamian people. You are who we are supposed to be building consensus from.
That's right.
We're not supposed to be making decisions based on what we want to do or what we feel is good for us. So let me make a specific point to you.
Yes, sir.
You said that there needs to be oversight and it needs to be a foreign body.
Yeah, because for the government to put something together
Yes.
and call it autonomous, right?
Okay.
Look at IRCA, right? From inception, right? IRCA
Yes.
is supposed to be autonomous, right?
Yes.
And that ain't nothing but politically motivated and it's not but politics. And
Okay.
everything in this country is tainted with politics or religion.
Understood. So there is a push to the direction of better oversight, better standards, commissions, and let me be specific to this. The chief of police, we didn't know, or we were trying not to do a deep dive because there's certain ongoing investigations, you understand. But because this is in the media, I'm looking at the newspaper right now. The chief of police was asked by the media yesterday, will the FBI or Scotland Yard, will they be involved with the investigation? The answer came back that US counterparts will be involved and that UK counterparts. That's the answer that came back. You understand that the question was not asked, it wasn't answered directly. Is the FBI going to be involved? Is Interpol, whether that's MI6, MI5 is the local British
Scotland Yard.
police, or MI6 for international affairs.
Yeah, man.
If we could get that answer right there, if the Bahamian people do not, this is not personal now, but if the Bahamian people do not have the confidence that the police can investigate themselves, then the Bahamian people have a right to ask for international bodies such as Interpol, Scotland Yard, to get involved. That's straightforward. And if that's what the people want, that's what the people should get.
Okay. Let Mrs. Owen comment on this. Caller, just hold on, please. Go ahead, Mrs. Owen.
I feel that if the government would fully enact the Integrities Act, that a lot of the issues that we are dealing with
Yes,
would be
ma'am.
dealt with objectively and in the people's best interest. But, why is it that, we put one foot in, but we don't follow through?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't really understand that, except maybe that they're trying to hold on to control. And why would someone want to control another person?
That's an interesting thing. Even
we are
God doesn't
supposed,
do that.
yeah, we are
Yes.
supposed to be encouraging
Yes, ma'am.
free will,
Yes.
free thinking. We say that's what we are
Hello?
supposed to be
Yes.
teaching the kids in school, but
Right.
we're
Hello?
not. Yes.
Hello?
Go ahead, caller.
Did you call me?
You still live on the air with us?
Yeah,
So-
but I asked a free thinker.
No.
She didn't say that at all.
No.
Yeah.
She's a free thought.
Yeah, she was talking about the Integrity Act.
Yeah, integrity, all that free thought.
Yeah.
Even got
Yeah,
free
so-
thought,
so-
the Thompson.
So let me expand, caller, on what
Yes,
just briefly, because when you talk about the Integrity Act, and the Freedom of Information Act, those two in particular.
Yeah, they go together.
And we've been saying this on the show for some time now.
Yes.
The Bahamian people need to require that these acts be fully enacted. It's two different things now. See, you can table a bill. You can even bring the legislation for the act. But what they are doing, both parties, sorry, we don't like to point at no color, so we'll point at all. Caller, you and the general public need to understand. All of the major parties do not want it.
I know.
They don't want it. They will write the first line, the name of the act, and put one article underneath it, and that's it. No teeth, no power of inquiry, investigation, no power to subpoena.
Consultation.
You see, no consultation, no independent and autonomous authority.
Yes,
So once you and the public understands that, you know what, we don't want anybody to approach us without giving us a fully enacted Freedom of Information Act and a fully enacted Integrity Act. Don't even come to us if you're not going to give us that in full.
Right. Caller, we're going to have to go to break now. So I'll have to cut you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much for your call. I'm going to respond to some things he had asked when he called. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. Mrs. Owens and Mr. Hyler are here as my special guest. We'll be back after the break.
R&B ear candy that you love. Plus, we'll engage in conversations inside a confession of love and so much more. And you never know what's going to drop by. It's The Quiet Storm, all getting underway tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on Global 99.5. I'm Letty Greer for The Quiet Storm. Keep it moving.
From East Street to Blue Hill Road, it's your chance to join the discussion of today's issue. Let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and Global Radio 99.5FM.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. I want to say happy independence to all Bahamians. You know, this is our last show before independence, which is tomorrow. And we have a lot of issues that we're discussing today. And it takes that flavor because we got to consider now what is happening in our country and what we are prepared to do as a people in terms of doing something to assist the nation in being able to do better than what we did in the first 51 years. Mrs. Owens, go ahead, please.
Well, I just want to say that much of what is going on in the country, one word comes to mind. A lot of times I'm hearing about these issues, and that one word that comes to mind in most cases is treason.
Yes, ma'am.
And treason is basically generally defined as the crime of betraying one's country.
Yes.
And I'll leave it just there. You know, I mean, there's more to it, but
Yes, ma'am.
that's all of the definition that I actually need.
Yes, ma'am, you do.
And you know, so much of what is going on is just that. It's a betrayal
Yeah.
of the Bahamian people. You know, when you fail to tighten up your immigration policy,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
you allow foreigners to come in and invade your borders, it's a betrayal. You know, when you make certain comments about this one being you and you being them and
Yes.
all the rest of it, that's a betrayal. It's a betrayal when the foreigners come in and take all the jobs, especially from our Bahamian men.
Yes.
And the government, the administration does nothing to make sure that doesn't happen. It's a betrayal when we totally disregard the Bahamianization policy. And we can go on. It's a betrayal when we are not consulted on issues. It's a betrayal when taxes are so high that the average Bahamian can barely make ends meet.
Oh, yes, that is true now.
You know, they are all betrayals. And so we really need to think about how we are doing business and how we are going to do business in the way forward.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know, how we're going to grow and develop our nation.
Yes. Okay, Brother Hyla.
You know, it reminds me, I had to quickly pull up a newspaper article that I had read related to the BPL union, the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union, and its leader, Mr. Kyle Wilson. So the article says BLP workers are saying, we feel betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
So on the BPL deal, you could say the most important, these are Bahamian citizens, but they also the primary stakeholders. The pension fund is owed $120 million. That's how much is owed, $120 million. Do we understand that that's a stake? That's blood, sweat, and tears already. But yet foreigners are being allowed to come in and raise money. They're not bringing no money to this country.
Wow.
They are raising $60 million from institutions.
Yes.
And $120 million from the general public. All of this is our money and it's our institution.
But yet we're proposed to get the minority amount. They
40%.
get the majority amount. They've raised the funds from our economy, and they get the majority shares.
Wow,
that's insane.
That's insane. Yeah. Mr. Producer, am I getting an indication I'm having? Right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I thought I saw that. Call you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Thompson, and hello, my BCP family.
Good day. How you doing?
All is well. That's Kareem Hanjulia calling.
Hey, Kareem.
Boy, that's some interesting thing I'm hearing because, I don't understand that. You just tell me, Veronica, they're using our money to pay for the expenses or whatever they need to do, and they get majority shares. I don't understand what Brave doing. That's right there is against. That's just bad business.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just bad business because then it shows them based on their decisions that they're not putting the Bahamian people
first.
And as Mr. Hyla has mentioned, the fact that these people could come with their business plans and their suit and get a letter of credit or partnership from our country, a PPP, to take that to a Canadian bank, to take that to a foreign bank, even here locally or internationally, and get the money they need to invest. Why the Bahamian people can't do the same thing with their government? Why the government is act like we is the problem?
Yeah.
Good question.
That's
and
right.
that's every government from I was born and to now, because I've been asking for partnerships and financial opportunities with the government from 2012, and I've been denied. I've been denied from the venture capital fund when I wanted to get funding for micro loans for my incubator. What SPDC doing is doing now. I was the person giving them the vision. Okay, they denied me that. I was denied partnership from Marlon Johnson when they called me in to be a consultant at SPDC. And after I realized that the trainer that they brought in to train me was inferior to me, I walked out the training. I told them to leave the money in the treasury. I don't know if they still pay the trainer for that training that I didn't sit in. Okay? Because I wanted a partnership. And so I don't understand why there's such hate for our people from our leaders.
Well, that's a strong word.
That's
but
very strong.
I could understand how you feel that way.
Yeah. Well qualified and still not given opportunity.
Yeah, man. You know, and it's sad because I was a young man. I gave them a portable generator pilot. I showed them a working portable solar generator in 2013. Okay, they denied funding for that. I wanted to build out in a mass production, train people on how to assemble these units so they can sell them over the internet. You know how much young men would have been working right now?
Yes.
You know how much units would have been shipped into Africa before Acorn was talking about a renewable energy city. I was working with foreign consultant I used to fly over, and he used to teach me solar and renewable energy. Right now, I'm training in water, how to turn water into fuel. Okay, with the fuel cells.
Okay.
These are things that we could build ourselves. There are raw materials all around the Caribbean that we could source the raw materials we need to build these things and then to convert, because we're surrounded by water.
Definitely.
When I be in Abaco after the storm, and again with this, we was drinking the salt water. They had a reverse osmosis machine on the bay, and they were sucking the water of the sea, purifying the water, and putting it in our bottles, and we was taking that home, and we was bathing in that, and we was eating that, drinking in that, and cooking with that. Okay, so come on, we don't supposed to be paying for water. The Bahamian people could make the government set up these infrastructures all around the coast to create water, and to bring this water, purify this water, hold this water, and now this water can be distributed nationally. We don't have to be paying for water. We shouldn't be paying for energy. These are things that our government, who say they care about us, should be coming in, not to watch us, see us, watch them sell our resources to foreigners, to have us pay foreigners for running our resources, and then determine how much we pay for the resources we need. That's serious.
Yeah.
That's backwards. Yeah.
Well, caller, thank you for your contribution.
Oh, I appreciate everything, General.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, all the best.
Yes.
Brother Hyla,
So
go ahead.
we have another young man disenfranchised.
Yes.
Came forward, recognized as having at least the quality and caliber to get the job done.
Yes.
Received, I don't know whether you could say a contract, but he was brought onto the project. But then somehow, somewhere along the way, things fell apart.
Yeah.
And it seems to always be in favor of the foreigner.
That's correct.
Rather than the Bahamian getting the opportunity.
Yes.
So this is the opposite of Bahamianization. It's the opposite of what the founding fathers intended.
Yes.
This is the opposite of what the Constitution provides for and calls for. So it's really sad, but let's press on. We know what we don't want. We just need to learn to work together. Identify, like you said, Professor, those persons who understand, have the abilities. I might as well tell you, and I'm not just saying this, it's persons like a Veronica Owens who, with vision and, a hard worker. You're talking about compassionate about the Bahamian people.
Yes.
And then now you have to give other persons a chance that mean well.
Yes.
Those that will not no longer, let's put it that way, will no longer align themselves with those who are going against the Constitution.
Yes.
And even going against new statutory laws as well.
Yes.
Just because we've discussed that in the past, but just very briefly. It's interesting to me that, and I believe we got to do a better job. When I say we have to do a better job, because I'm looking in the same article that I was reading from before. Kyle, he made a statement. The government refused to turn over any documentation, and we don't believe it's done in accordance with the various laws and acts that govern electricity and national assets.
Yes.
Those are his words, the leader of the union. And then he says, we have not heard from ERCA. We do not know what's going on. And then it says, you're telling me in 3 months, you're just going to put the assets of Bahamians into foreign hands? That's very strong. That's the evidence right there.
But whereas I appreciate the compliment that you just paid me, I have to give kudos to the servant leader of the Bahamas Constitution Party.
Yes.
She is a extremely passionate and hardworking woman with divine leadership abilities and qualities.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you haven't read her book, The Reconstruction of the Nation, people, Bahamians, you must get it. It is the blueprint for what needs to be done to turn this country around and point it in the direction that it should go. God has blessed us tremendously. We have more natural resources in this country than most other jurisdiction on the planet, but we are not taking advantage of it. And where it is being taken it's really, we are being exploited.
Exploited, yes, we are.
We are being exploited because the people who are benefiting from our natural resources, the treasury of the Bahamas is not seeing any of that.
None of it at all.
By you saying that, Veronica, we had a sovereign wealth fund proposed and initiated on the books. The sovereign wealth fund acts almost like a mutual fund or stocks and bonds that would pay directly to Bahamians based on its profitability. That sovereign wealth fund has been retracted in favor of what is being called the National Investment Fund. And let me mention the difference quickly. Instead of money being paid directly to Bahamian citizens, the National Investment Fund is receiving monies from the people's investment in Alive. Just in case you all don't know, the Bahamian people own a percentage of Alive. We own a percentage of BTC. We own a percentage of many corporations. Now we're looking at how does that money benefit the Bahamian people? It is being proposed to use the proceeds for more infrastructure.
Wow.
So not families.
Okay, so I've given you the government permission to do that, right? Are you saying?
Will they take?
I mean, that's the only way that could happen. See, systemic fraud is fraud nonetheless.
Well, that's a strong word, because there are certain proponents, I wouldn't call any names, in government that went into government to fight for natural resources. But we haven't heard their voices any longer.
No, you haven't.
On natural resources. They're members of parliament.
They've made no impact. None whatsoever.
Okay.
So, we haven't seen anything from the natural resources in the treasury. No benefit whatsoever.
The plans, we see an act to provide for receiving carbon credits.
Yes, we see that.
We haven't heard any explanation of the carbon credits. No dates, no time.
Nothing.
No money coming forward to the Bahamian people.
Yes.
Professor, we didn't do the road closures. Could I
Oh,
mention?
go ahead and do that
As
quickly.
quickly as
Take your
possible.
business,
There
yes.
are, to the Bahamian public, there's an advisory from the Royal Bahamas Police Force that there are some road closures to facilitate the Independence Cultural Show and the flag raising ceremony. So there will be a closure of both sides of West Bay Street between Nassau Street and Chippingham Road. Also, Marcus Bethel Way between West Bay Street and Infant View Road. Both sides of the road will be closed. Dean's Lane will be closed, both sides. Gibbs Lane will be closed, both sides. And that's from 6 p.m.
Okay.
this evening. Now, tomorrow, quickly, Wednesday, the 10th of July, 12 a.m., various Junkanoo groups will perform musical selections for the Bahamas 51st Independence on Bay Street from East Street to George Street. Again, Bay Street between George Street and Elizabeth Avenue, both sides. Navy Lion Road, both sides.
Speed it up a little for me. because I'm
Woods
hearing the music in
Rogers,
my ears.
yes, Woods Rogers Walk. Both sides will be closed from 8 p.m. Tuesday, the 9th of July,
Okay.
until 1 p.m. That's tomorrow, Wednesday, the 10th of July.
Thank you very much. We are at the end of the show right now, and I wanted to make some remarks, but I can't do it now because we are out of time. Thank you very much, Mrs. Owens, for coming, and Mr. Dwayne Hyler. We've had a great show, and I want to say to the Bahamian people, happy Independence.
Happy Independence.
Happy Independence.
Bahamas.
Please be careful. Go out to the ceremony tonight and, show your loyalty to the country. And we're going to move forward in year 52 with God's help to make that year the
Amen.
best year ever in our country. This has been Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. Thank you very much for listening, and happy Independence.